Okay. My name is Guifei Jing. It's my colleague from the program board, Professor Pang Yun. We are the moderator of this session. This the first is the first showcase session. So we are honored to together with the guests here. I don't want to use more time to introduce the background and the progress of this agenda. We all show the full schedule from the website. So we just start the presentation and give more time for the speaker and for the discussion among this showcase session. We were all very honored to invite the first speaker, Professor Amori Aloha. I'm sorry, I hope I can pronounce your name correct. He will give us a presentation about how to achieve scalable flood risk protection through automation and parametric insurance. Mr. Amori Aloha graduated as an engineer specialized in environmental sciences and now worked in parametric and agriculture team of Liberty, maturing as a data scientist. So welcome Maria to give us a presentation. Maria, the floor is yours.
Should we go?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This one?
Okay.
So
Yes, I think you use corner one is fine.
Okay, please. We have the right.
to do the.
Okay, two of
So,
you.
That's a way. So
Maybe you.
Yeah. This one and this one.
Okay. I think it's over there, please.
Right. Do we need the mic?
It's a presentation.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so thank you very much for the invitation, and we're very happy to open this session. So yeah, as you can see, we are two today. We will talk a bit about flood risk and especially how to use Earth observation for a very specific use case. So we both, I don't know how we could change the slide. Do we have a comment? Should ask? Yeah, all right. So yeah, we're both part of Liberty Mutual Reinsurance, a big okay, the big insurance American company. We did this study in partnership with Floodbase. Unfortunately, they can't be here today, but we're happy to fill this gap for them. And yeah, can you go next slide, please? So yeah, as you're probably aware, flood risk is a huge risk, but worldwide it's now impacting about almost 2 billion person across the world, as you can see on this map. But it's also a growing risk. We see that the flood event recorded has more than doubled in the last, since 2000. Also, the economical loss from flood is huge. We're talking about 400 billions yearly. And the main issue is that almost all of these risks are not covered, with like 83% of the economical loss from flood are not covered yet. The difficulty with that is the insurance mechanism is difficult for flood. And if you can go next slide, please. So the physical property damage in traditional insurance, as you know it, like your home insurance, your car insurance, you need someone going at a field at the asset to estimate the loss. This could take a lot of time. This is not fully objective. You probably had some trouble with your insurance, so you know that this. So first, yeah, this is one of the issue, but also about 70% of the risk are not covered because they are not directly linked to property damage. There could be business interruption. You don't have any attendance to your hotel or attraction park, for example, because the local airport is flooded. You have some supply chain disruption, or the crop and land are not covered because they are too big, and it's very difficult to assess very large area with flood impact. So if you can go next slide, please. So parametric insurance, you might have heard of these terms. It's not new, but now with the data era, I would say, it's becoming more and more mainstream. The parametric insurance differs from traditional insurance in the way that you don't need an expert going to your field, to your asset, to estimate the loss. We will rely on a physical and objective index. It could be like wind speed for tropical cyclone, it could be magnitude for earthquake, and for flood, it could be flood depth or flooded area. So the main advantage is we can do this fully remotely. We don't have to go to your field, so we can provide insurance where it was not possible before, and in a very fast way. In general, with this type of insurance, we can send indemnification within days, while in general, when we're talking about big area like states, in general, it was about 1 year, sometimes 2 years to assess the final amount of the loss. It's objective as it is based on physical data, and it permits also very scalable as it can cover a large region. Can you go next slide, please? Yeah, but one issue remains. We do have parametric insurance, it's a solution, but now we need a physical index. And when it comes to flood, which physical index we will use, it's very difficult. And I will let Amaury that work on this explain you why it's so difficult.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. So first, maybe a quick word on how flood modelization is complicated. Flood is actually the consequence of the interaction of different types of phenomenon that we could categorize into 4 components: hydro, static, weather, and especially human. The human impact, since there are a lot of land use change, river engineering, building dams, etc. So all of it creates a complexity for the modelization, which requires high resolution data, both temporal and spatial. Maybe a quick example on that component. Flash flood, which are typically a huge flood happening, and the duration of this type of events are between 3 and 6 hours. If we don't have hourly scale data, we cannot capture such events. And then naturally, of course, flood events are comes from coupled processes. That is to say, for example, we had the example of in Colombia. It was during the rain season, and there was a dam release that created a lot of floods along the river, since the ground was saturated with water. And then, of course, dynamic system, that is to say, the context, the spatial context is always evolving. The best example of this one is, for example, the Valencia event in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And it was hugely, the impact of it was increased because of the land use change. Could you go to, thank you. So if we cannot, if it is difficult to modelize it, why not just take the observation, the satellite imagery of it, when there are still some challenges that remain, especially the cloud masking. So we have here 2 examples. The first picture on top is showing that with cloud masking we cannot really capture flood, whereas flood-based model can capture it quite well, since they use SAR technology satellites. But not only, one other challenge is the revisiting time limit of satellites. So actually, to capture flood events, we need to not only base on observation only systems. This is what flood base is doing. Can you go to the next slide, please? by combining, by doing data fusion system, combining complementary data sets. Static, geographical inputs, hydrological forcing, and of course satellite imagery. This combination enables them to create a model that remains informative, even though one data source is not available or is biased or false. This final model enabled them to, as an output, create flood map, which is the basis of our flood index. Can you go to the next slide, please? Well, here we can see different examples of flood prints. And the main idea is to convert coming from flood prints to flood index by just drawing an area depending on the context on the client, and this gives us a flood extent amount which is proportional, which creates payouts that are proportional to this flood index. Should we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, you can.
So yeah, maybe a simple use case. We work in Napa Valley, as you know. In Napa Valley, they produces a lot of wine, but they are not covered by the traditional subsidization scheme. So using this kind of solution, we were able to provide fast and first relief for this sector. In particularly in 2023, they had a huge flood losses, and as you can see here, the yellow lines are drawing the shape of the vineyards. We can know exactly what was the amount of vineyard impacted there. And another example, if you can go next slide, please. So yeah, maybe not the most relevant use case when we're talking about climate change, but golf courses is a great application for this, as they are generally impacted not directly by the property damage, because a big flood actually make the grass greener, but actually they can suffer from what we call the business interruption. Like when the golf course is flooded, you can't have any customer for like several weeks. And yeah, that's a good example of what we can provide through parametric insurance, as this is not directly related to an actual property damage. It's just impacting the business. And yeah, I think we're done. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you very much. And I guess we have some time for questions, maybe. Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for excellent presentation, Amri and your colleague. Any questions or comments? Okay, please.
So can turn your microphone so they're online.
No.
We also have online colleagues. So yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. When we've looked into this previously, there's always that issue of, if you now own the data or Liberty is kind of doing this work, then the liability sits with Liberty, and therefore people weren't adopting it as a solution. Are you able to actually use this parametric insurance, or are you still depending on it? Are you using it just for we will now release funds, or are you using it for actually we can now quantify the amount that we will release to you very, very quickly?
Yeah, so actually what you are highlighting is what we call the basis risk, is the difference between the actual losses assessed on the ground and what we will pay for. This is very important as we try to minimize this basis risk. One way to deal with this is we will have a proof of loss, meaning that we will ask our customers to send us an estimation of the proof of loss, and we will compensate from the maximum between those two indices. That's a way to deal with this in parametric insurance. But yeah, this is very important, and the goal of anyone that doing parametric insurance is to minimize this basis risk, because at the end of the day, this will make the product commercially viable.
And are you operationally using this
Yeah,
data right now to release sites?
Those 2 use cases are actual client offers.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Can you comment on the area of coverage of the project and accessibility? Is this just a Liberty Mutual internal project, or is this accessible to others?
So at the moment, as it is very costly in terms of data computation, etc., we doing one country after another. It is actually available in US, Mexico, Colombia, Italy, and we are working on additional countries at the moment. And this is not only Liberty. We had a huge partnership with Floodbase, but they remain proprietary of this model. What we have done with Liberty is provide the insurance part of this model, the automation, pricing approach, etc., to underwrite this. But this is available for everyone. Yeah, and they are working also in the academic side, so feel free to reach to them directly.
So when you say available to everyone, is there like a URL we can go to and like, oh yeah, I can download yesterday's flood?
This is a commercial model, but yeah, for example, for insurance, definitely this will be a licensing model. But for academic, I think they have other agreement that they can work more freely or openly, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Okay, so let's move on to our second showcase. So our second showcase will be given by Dr. Zheng Wei. Dr. Zheng is come from the China Meteorological Administration and the National Satellite Meteorological Center. Actually, he's in charge of currently he's the director of the International User Service Center. He has a background about the remote sensing, also especially for the disaster and prevention and mitigation. Please, Dr. Zheng.
Thank you very much for moderator's introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very glad to be here to give us a brief introduction about the Fengyun meteorological satellite support for early warning for. Next, please. And we all know that the UN's proposals the early warning for all in 2022, and the initiative aiming to ensure everybody in the world should be protected by the early warning system by 2027. And the GEO also have the priority about weather, hazard, and disaster resilience. And this priority also have a very important task about the support early warning for all. Next. And Fengyun meteorological satellite and the operational satellite member of WMO and GEOS, also and the on-duty operational satellite of international charter, space, and major disasters. There are 5 main pillars to support early warning for all. Please, next. And first, I want to talk about pillar 1, Fengyun satellite constellation infrastructure. Since 1980s, China have successfully launched 23 Fengyun meteorological satellites, and currently there are 10 Fengyun meteorological satellites on the orbit. In fact, this is animation. Can you please this? Yeah. Sorry. The last. Yeah. From this animation, we can see there are 5 geostationary satellites and 5 polar orbit satellites. For the polar orbit satellites, to be honest, China now is the only one country in the world with the 4 different polar orbits, including the early morning, afternoon, and inclination satellites. So these satellites can ensure we can get the global scale information 10 times every day. Next, please. The newest Fengyun satellite is Fengyun 4C. It's a geostationary satellite. From this animation, we can see the yellow line. We can see the geostationary satellites and the polar orbit satellites link by the LISA communication technology. It means we can realize the polar orbit satellites and the geostationary satellites comprehensive application. And on this Fengyun 4C satellites, we also have many international advanced sensors, such as the lightning mapping imager can capture the light phenomena about 500 times per second. And we also have the girth sensor can obtain the 3 dimensions structure of atmosphere, such as temperature and humidity profile. Next, please. And Fengyun satellites, in fact, build the system of qualitative products covering about 85 geophysical parameters, and also supports about more than 10 disasters. This slide shows we use Fengyun satellites to monitor the typhoon, the tropical cyclones, and with the 250 meters with 1 minute. It's very high frequency, and we also utilize the macro sounders to get the 3 dimension structure of the atmosphere. Next, please. Next. This slide shows us we use the Fengyun satellite to monitor the strong convectives. We can see we use the satellites can monitor the strong convectives, such as initiations, and also we can get the precipitation estimations. Also, we can achieve the convective clouds identification and tracking information. Next, please. Next. The second pillar is about the data sharing. Next. Maybe, yes, this one is right, yes. The pillar 2 is about Fengyun satellite global data service. We provide several ways to share the Fengyun satellites, including website and GTS or WIS. GTS and WIS is led by the WMO. We also have the emergency data service, and we can also provide the direct broadcast equipment and the simulcast. By this method, we can realize the Fengyun satellite sharing. Now we have provided the international service for about 139 countries and regions. Next, please. And this is our center's homepage. If you are interested, you can visit this website, can download the Fengyun satellite data. We also recommend you use the toolbox we call the download client. You can use this client to download the Fengyun satellite automatically. It's very easy and convenient to get the Fengyun satellite data. Next, please. And pillar 3 is the application platform. We also develop 3 main software to utilize the Fengyun satellite. The first one is Mazu Fengyun Satellite AI Box. This AI Box is developed for international use with a one-stop and integrated software and hardware toolbox, which can provide customizable meteorological satellite product service. Here shows us a different version of the satellite AI box and also have the website. Next, please. And these two software also are very important. The first one is SWAP. This SWAP software can support the geostationary satellite processing. And the smart software can support the polar-based satellite processing and support the such as nature disaster monitoring and the ecosystem monitoring and assessment. Here also give us the website. If you want to know about the two softwares, you can visit the two websites. Next, please. And the pillar 4 is Fengyun ESM. Fengyun ESM, namely emergency support mechanism of Fengyun satellite. This mechanism is established by the China Meteorological Administration in 2018. Now it has registered rate by 38 countries. And now we have provided more than 190 times emergency support by integrating with the charter. Charter, maybe you know, it's the international charter, space and major disasters. And here we give us the website, and you can visit this website. And if you can activate this mechanism to utilize the Fengyun satellite to support the emergency condition, such as maybe the typhoon, the sandstorm, or wildfires happened, we can utilize this mechanism to provide the Fengyun satellite data and the qualitative products. Next, please. And pillar 5 is international cooperation. We also attach importance for the deepening the international cooperation. The first one is the Fengyun Satellite International User Conference. This conference, we hold this conference every 2 years. Every 2 years, we hold one time. In fact, now we have held 4 times this conference. This conference aiming to facilitating the Fengyun satellite and deepening the cooperation, the China with international users. Next, please. And we also built the Belt and Road Meteorological Visiting Scholar Program. This program aiming to improve the country's capability of disaster prevention and mitigation, especially for the developing countries. And in fact, now about more than 20 the Belt and Road Scholarship come to China and study and work together with us. Next, please. And we also built the Fengyun Satellite International User Consultation Mechanism. Based on this consultation mechanism, we can discuss the cooperation and jointly cultivate professional in the meteorological field with the developing countries. Now we have held more than 50 times consultation with more than 20 countries. Here shows us the pictures. We hold the consultations conference with different countries. Next, please. And we also have lots of international cooperation with the international organizations such as WMO, CGMS, GEO, and EPSCO. We also have the cooperation with meteorological satellite operator and also with some countries' space agencies to cooperate. Next, please. Here give us the cases we based on the 5 pillars to use the Fengyun satellite to monitor the flood by AI technologies. The floods occurred in the Mozambique we provide the quality product to the Mozambique and have a very good result. Next, please. And we also utilize phone satellite to monitor the volcanic eruptions occurred in the Earth. We also provide the relative products and analysis report. And we also support the quality of products to the Earth meteorological department. Next, please. And in the future, phone satellites will continue to launch the satellites. And about in the future 2 years, we will launch about 3 to 4 phone satellites. We will continue to support the phone satellite. Next, please. This is the last page, and here give us some website and our emails. If you want to utilize phone satellites, you can visit the website and can send an email to me. Thank you very much. That's all.
As now, Dr. Zheng gave us how to use the phone for the early warning in the disaster. Especially he introduced for the 5 pillars from the both for the data sharing and also for the service provider. Also even for the international scholarship with the visiting and the international user group. But the time is a little limited. Maybe can, if you have questions, you can connect him later. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, thank you again. Okay, our next speak will given by Steve Cobb. Steve will introduce how we can use just use a browser to do the remote sensing data and analysis, especially also kinds of bring the gaps. You know how to use the browser to do the remote sensing data analysis easier. Okay, let's welcome.
Thank
Steve.
you. Hi, Steve Cope from Esri. So I'm just going to give you a really quick couple of slides, and then I'm going to jump over there and give a little bit of demo, and then have some QR codes at the end, because I'm going to talk kind of fast and show some things really quickly. Next slide, please. So what I wanted to share with you guys today is some just quick apps that you can access for accessing data free and open. Share these with any of your coworkers and show them what amazing remote sensing scientists you are without actually having to build anything. The context of this is just that ArcGIS is a big platform. Most of you think of it as a desktop software. There's also an online component, a backend enterprise component. All of that sits on top of a big cloud of data and computation. Okay, so we actually pay for commercial cloud from Amazon and Microsoft to support that backend. Next slide, please. But the key thing here is there's a lot of data on the back end of it. So there's over 100 million items that support billions of requests per day. And a lot of that data is actually imagery. Next slide, please. Sitting on top of that imagery are a bunch of apps. And I'm going to try to show you most of these 5 really quickly. Landsat, Sentinel-2, Sentinel-1, and the Sentinel Land Cover Explorer all use the same app framework. And then there's another app for looking at historic high resolution base map imagery called Imagery Wayback that I'll also show. Next slide, please. So if you know how to get to one of those, Landsat or Sentinel or others, all of them are accessible from the same app in the top right-hand corner. So let's just show those really quick. We'll take some time. We want you to get something out of it, but I do have a bunch of bookmarks in here already, so we'll be able to show this. So this is the Landsat Explorer, and as I said, from the top right-hand corner, you can also get to Sentinel-2 data, Sentinel-1 data, and Sentinel Land Cover data. There's also a spectral sampler there if you wanted to actually get spectral signatures. But these are primarily designed for exploring data and sort of I'll say suitable for a novice user.
What you'll notice, that was not a click I wanted. If you click on any image, it'll tell you when the image was taken. So there's an explore mode, which shows the latest imagery as a composite. There's also a swipe tool, an animate tool, and an analyze tool that I'll show. My favorite thing about this is this data browser, because it gives us access to all of the years, and then for each year, it shows the months, and for each month, I can choose here what, except I can't do the slider without a mouse. So there's a slider here. Let's see if we can do that. If I change the slider, it'll show which images have what percentage of cloud cover. I have a slide of that at the end. And then in the bottom right, some standard renderings, natural color, color IR, shortwave, and some indices. So water, built up indices, and for Landsat, we have temperature. This is the swipe tool, and is this going to work? Yep. So here we can easily swipe between multiple images. And if I change over to the next tab, this is looking at the Analyze tab. So under Analyze, we have a variety of band indices, temporal profile, spectral profile, and change detection. So we're doing on-the-fly change detection in the browser here. So this is a scene of a wildfire area that we were just looking at. This is from before the fire, after the fire, and this is an on-the-fly change detection between those two images, looking at the change in vegetation index. So we can move the slider. There we go. So we can just see, the change in burned index. Inside of there, there's also vegetation index, moisture index, and a water index. Then jump over here. This is looking at the shortwave IR. This is a volcanic eruption in Hawaii. And primarily the reason I wanted to show you this one, it's just a really cool image because it shows the lava flow. But we also have the same image from the next day from Landsat. So if you learn the user experience for Landsat, it's basically the same for Sentinel. I'm just jumping between the two data sets here, right? Different days. Okay. And how do I get that? There we go. As I mentioned, there's also an animate capability, so we can look at, we can animate through a series of images, although it didn't update properly. So this is looking at monthly, every 2 weeks or so, the Sentinel data through time of an agricultural area in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And if you look really closely in the calendar at the bottom, you can see it showing as it clicks through which scenes are actually being highlighted there. So the way that you build an animation like this is just by picking individual images. So if I stop that, and then I can just add images in this bottom right in this list, all of those images actually get tagged in the URL. So if you wanted to share this with anybody, oh, it just updated the whole thing. All you have to do is copy the URL and you can share that with them. So it's a really easy way if you wanted to show somebody, oh, go look at this place. Here's a, an animation of before and after the flood or the fire or whatever it might be. And that's actually all I did to persist these links is I just copied them off of my computer and copied them over. Got the controller in the way there. I don't have that. Okay, thank you. Then I mentioned there was some historic data. So all of the base map imagery that we use in ArcGIS Online for the last 12 years or so, that's high resolution satellite imagery that we purchase from third-party vendors that becomes our base map image that you find in ArcGIS Online. So all of that historic data is actually there and available online. There's an app for viewing that called the Imagery Wayback app. And here we're looking at a place just up the street, a couple blocks away, where there was a building constructed over the last few years. And this is before the image was there and what it looked like when the last image we have was collected in 2024. And similarly, there's a little place here that they've built out a little further down. Looks like they're building a new place here for pulling in boats. So this imagery, you can go anywhere in the world. There's imagery there. A lot of this is like 3-meter resolution worldview imagery, depending on how far back you go. Some of it's as much as 0.5-meter resolution urban imagery provided by some of our partners. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention was the land cover data. So we do an annual land cover classification from Sentinel data using an AI model that we developed with Earth Observatory. And that data is available in an app as well. This app allows you to interact. Here we're looking at a change in land cover in Abuja from 2017 to 2025. So there's been a lot of urban growth. If we wanted to look at just the built up areas, we can click on the built up areas and see just those. Or we could look at the change in land cover. So this change in land cover in the bottom right is showing just the area that's viewed on the screen. If we wanted to look at the overall change in land cover, we can look at it this way. We can see the urban land cover increasing significantly with a big loss in forest cover in that view. And with that, I'm going to jump back up to the front and do 2 more slides. Thanks, Sabrina. Next slide, please. So if that was too fast, there's actually tutorials available that walk you through all the capabilities of the Landsat and Sentinel Explorer app and the Sentinel-1 Explorer. Oh, I skipped Sentinel-1. Damn it. That's why I'm ahead. Next slide, please. And this is how you get to the apps and to the tutorials. And that's it.
Okay,
Thank
you for Steve's pretty cool presentation and also for the demonstration. So that's for questions for Steve.
Everybody's getting QR codes.
Turn on your mic.
Forgive me. Is there any flexibility within, for example, Arcturus Experience or a kind of app builders to bring in these applications, or are they very much standalone, use these, but for your prototyping or visualization?
Could you clarify to bring these to like put different data in them, or to use the app somewhere else, or
bit of both? So operationally, you obviously want to bespoke it. Or usually want to bespoke it towards your policy or regulation or daily monitoring, monthly, whatever it is. Is that possible?
So I think the simple answer is if you like the way the app is and you want to tweak it a little bit, it's an open source app. You can go to the GitHub repo and do whatever you want to it. So we actually did a custom project for the Australia government where they wanted a land cover viewer like the Sentinel viewer, but they wanted to tweak it with their own land cover data that had like 30 classes or something in it.
Yeah.
So they were able to do that. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. Okay. So we were talking here with Martha from Ecuador, and we've found out before that these models of I don't know land cover or wildfire, the risk of wildfire or the signals of land wildfire before, those are modeled to a specific area or countries. So the land cover for Ecuador, for as an example, is very different. We have a different also conditions, meteorological conditions. So is it possible to tropicalize it to the Ecuadorian or any other country conditions?
So you want to customize the land cover model to your country?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, not only the cover, but all the different the indexes. Are they any way to apply for customization?
So the question, I believe, is about customizing indices and analysis regionally. So within these apps, no, but in general in the platform, yes. So we provide pre-trained AI models for a lot of different things now, and those have the ability to be customized. If you wanted to grab like, you know, a Sentinel land cover pre-trained AI model, you could actually customize that to just your geography to work better with the classes you're interested in and you know, your landscape. Yeah. I'm going to talk about those tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Okay, thank you. The next speaker is James Rittingleaf. Can you tell us about the rational Earth intelligence, indigenous frameworks for biodiversity, and I think AI governance? James is a citizen of the Rosebud Sioux tribe and founding member of the GEO Indigenous Alliance. He developed a program that utilize the interface between traditional ecology knowledge, tech, and West science. He applies his expertise in Earth observation technology to cover how tech can be used with West science to address the impact of climate change. James also holds leadership role with University of Colorado Boulder's North Central Climate Adaptation Centers, etc. Please, James, floor is yours.
Midakiapi, Chante Washte Napet Juzapolo, James Rattlingleaf, Himachiapi, Suchangu Lakoto Yate, Himataha. I greet you today from my heart with a handshake. And in my culture, we begin that way to recognize our relationship. And I traveled a long way to be here. My home is back in South Dakota in the United States. And it's my opportunity, my great opportunity to be with you today. And as was mentioned in my introduction, I am a founding member of the GEO Indigenous Alliance. And what we want to do today is present two tools for your consideration, for your possible support and engagement. And so when we talk about the work that we embark on, it's important that we think about relationship. Indigenous people are increasingly becoming, I think, more important when it comes to understanding how we go forward with protecting our Earth. And so we do have two tools we wanted to share with you today in our time. It's something called Relational Values Methodology and also Indigenous-led Ethical AI Biodiversity Toolkit. And together, we believe these two tools have the opportunity really to go beyond just measuring biodiversity indicators, but we begin to think about who has authority, who has governance, and who has responsibility. So these two tools, again, are developed with and through the GEO Indigenous Alliance, and also helps us identify and understand what are relational values in biodiversity work, and how can it help us guide us in terms of data collection, data sharing, and how we work that with AI. These tools are important because it allows us to go beyond just the technical aspects of this work. It begins for us to think about, again, authority, responsibility, and consequence. So the question is not only what can we measure, but who defines meaning and who governs use. Next slide. So why were these tools created? Next slide, please. It's because we know that increasingly AI is becoming a powerful tool. It's impacting Indigenous people as well. And because of all the ways that we could collect data, it's important that, again, that how we think about governance. So I'm going to say that word again and again, is who governs these data and how does it keep pace with technology, and how do we move it more than just beyond points and polygons? But it raises serious questions. You know, I think about this a lot as an Indigenous person in the work that I do, about how we are going to engage with AI, and also the responsibility for what that data becomes. Next slide. So it begins with relational values methodology. So think about it in terms of community observation, relationship, responsibility, and indicators and governance conditions. So these indicators, our methodology begins with what communities observe, what they see, what they care about, and ultimately what are Indigenous people responsible for. How does this begin to drive our indicators when it comes to traditional knowledge? We think about also that how this informs biodiversity model that we have right now, like EBV and EESG, and all those decision support systems. So the aim is not to reduce numbers or indicators, but is to enhance it with responsibility. So the relational values are not abstract. They shape how our communities understand ecological change and responsibility. Next slide. So I want to talk about Tatanka, or buffalo. 7 years ago, I was given the opportunity and responsibility to deliver our intervention for the United States and in Australia. And it was there that I talked about buffalo, earth observation, and culture. And today in our cultures, and even around the world, you see this mammal, this relative of ours, coming back to the land, and how people are thinking about stewardship and how that's important to our culture, and how we teach, not only how we do the work, but also what we teach about sustainability, biodiversity, and culture. And the buffalo, or Tatanka as we call it, has been a great example, because it goes back into our history. But yet we're bringing it back today. We're bringing it back because not only is it important for the land and biodiversity, but it's important to our culture. Indigenous people have a broad view of these things and why it matters. So when we talk about buffalo returns or any other kind of four-legged returns, we're talking about more than just the mammal or the animal itself. We're talking more about just about numbers, how we measure this restoration or this renewal, and that's important for us. So let's next slide, please. So who speaks for the animals? So again, moving into our ethical IA biodiversity toolkit. So as we know that biodiversity is increasingly being used by AI systems. I mentioned our Tatanka, how we work with our Tatanka and how we restore it. How can the data be useful, but also do we understand the risks, especially in working with and for Indigenous people? So we can measure, for instance, movement and location and those kind of things for our buffalo, for example, but it's more than that for us. And so the toolkit can help us understand governance before the data is collected, before it's labeled, before it's shared, before it's reused, and then how to use it to train the model. So our toolkit is designed to slow the process down before harm becomes normal. Next slide. So we have questions. Do we have the right to begin a project? How do our tools change relationships? Who decides what the data means? Who governs the data and its future use? When should we pause, stop, and refrain? So really, these 5 questions are the heart of our toolkit. They are practical decision points. They help us think about consent, authority, interpretation, sovereignty, downstream use, and limits. So these are important questions. When should we pause, stop, or refrain? AI and all those associated with AI reminds us that these are important questions, and how can we advance these ideas in terms of ethical leadership. So not every technical capability should be automatically used. We need to think about it. Next slide. So we have a canvas or a template for you to think about. How do we begin to look at these statement of values? How are real decisions need to be made in projects? How do we use this worksheet, decision guide, and project planning tool, or even an ethical review process? This template can help us document who has been consulted, what permissions are needed, what data can be shared, or what should remain protected, and who has authority over the interpretation. This worksheet can also support communities, researchers, institutions, GEO partners working with biodiversity, data, and AI. So the value of this toolkit is that it turns ethical principles into practical questions. Next slide. So we believe that this is a GEO pathway or knowledge hub. It's community-led work. It's a methodology toolkit. It leads to GEO knowledge hub and responsible use by GEO partners. For GEO, the question is how these tools can be shared responsibly. The goal is not to upload indigenous knowledge into a platform, but is to really develop methods for approval within communities, framework, case studies, templates that can advance our understanding working with indigenous people. The GEO Knowledge Hub could help make these resources visible to GEO partners while preserving principles behind them. This could also support biodiversity monitoring, as I mentioned, EBV, EESG conversations, ethical AI, community-based monitoring, and data governance. Knowledge Hub should not separate the tool from the governance that makes it responsible. So let me close by saying that we believe that this work is important in advancing work with indigenous people. And this is not just a presentation of tools, but it's a time, I think, for us to really think deeply about how we work with indigenous communities. That's been our work at the GEO Indigenous Alliance for the past 7 years when we were created, came together and created our entity back in Australia. So again, it's really not about measurement, but it's about relationship. And how does this advance our work at GEO? Well, we think that, and we believe that GEO Indigenous Alliance is an enabling mechanism, and it can support you as GEO partners and GEO scientists and such going forward. So this is important for us. We want to make sure that we bring this forward, and that we also have some information for you to take away. Next slide. So we want to move from extraction to relationship, access to authority, sharing through sovereignty, and scaling and through limits. Next slide. So here's our QR code. So we want to make sure that you have access to this. Again, this is best viewed in a laptop, and that in our work going forward, we hope that we can continue this dialogue on this toolkit and how it can advance biodiversity indicator monitoring. So with that, I'll stop. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Presentation. Any questions? Okay, please.
Sure, thanks. This morning we heard about sort of the co-creation of data and products with users. How do you see this tool supporting that process, or are you thinking of this tool in the support of another really strong aspiration of tribal nations around the world, the aspiration for data sovereignty?
Well, thank you for the question. I do like that. I like that terminology of co-design or co-creation. I think the time has come for the scientific community really to think deeply about its relationship with indigenous people. What we presented here, and this is a work in progress. We're not done with the toolkit, but I think that there are opportunities to understand this toolkit. I'm not sure if any indigenous groups have done any of this kind of work before, but we at the GEO Indigenous Alliance believe that co-creation, even governance in this work is really important, and it does align. It should align, and it should be aligned with principles like UNDRIP, things that many of our indigenous people have participated for many, many years. And so we look at ways that we can implement UNDRIP in this work. And I think this toolkit and many other toolkits maybe are important progress in advancing indigenous sovereignty, indigenous governance. And I believe when indigenous people are creating these tables for collaboration to do work around biodiversity and other important matters like climate change, there's always a greater opportunity for progress. This is what we're seeking. We're seeking progress through this toolkit. It's not a solution as much as a progress advancing greater understanding so we can all protect our places better.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? James, I have one question. I think maybe I have also write as a moderator. How do you think return of the buffet? Very good. How do you think the dominant reason is from the government regulation or from the private support? How do you think?
Well, that's a great question. I think, I was struggling if I should bring this forward, Wenbo, this concept called ROAM, ROAM. It's restoring our ancestral megafauna. What do you guys think about that? Well, there are efforts around the world now restoring buffalo, not just America, not just Canada, but in the old country here, in Romania, Spain, UK, and even Georgia. So what happens when we bringing them back? How do we bring them back? And for what purpose we bring them back? I think those are all things that we wrestle with, we struggle with, but also we celebrate. For indigenous people in America, we celebrate the return of the buffalo because it was almost extinct. It was almost driven to extinction, as you know, if you know our history. But I believe indigenous people and these megafaunas, our histories and our futures are in parallel. When the buffalo is healthy, when the buffalo is good, indigenous people are good. And I do believe that. So I think if the work continues, I hope that we can advance something like Rome. And I want to see the GEO community begin to think deeply about how they support that, because there are many things that happen when you bring back our megafauna. That's good for everybody. And I think that those discussions need to continue. That education needs to continue, that awareness, but also articulating again what it means. It's not just a feel-good thing, but it's good for all of us, good for all our cultures going forward. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. We just hope this can be operational. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to our fifth showcases of this session. Our next showcase will be given by Dr. Zhong Bo. He will share with us his GWP, the GeoArc, especially focused on the for the global ecosystem monitoring. Okay, please, Zhong.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And I'll represent my work group and to make a showcase. And ours called the GeoArc action, and for Earth intelligence and how to from data to service for the global ecosystem monitoring. Okay, next please. Next please. First, we'll talk about some small background, little background, and from the scientific view and from the technological view, and also from point of the governance. So how we do use the remote sensing data to do this kind of job. Okay, next please. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so there is actually an origination of the GeoArc, and actually it's the Global Ecosystems and Environmental Observation Annual Reports, actually supported from the Ministry of Science and Technology of China, and to try to use the Chinese satellite data to do some evaluation of the China ecosystems and also in the global scales. So this is kind of initiatives. So based on these initiatives, we actually released actually more than 10 annual reports for doing this. Okay, next please. Okay, this is actually a history of the GeoArc, and actually it's from 2011, actually from 2024, and actually we released a lot of the annual report in the scale of China and in the scale of the globe, also some regional scales. Okay, next please. So this is actually from this that GeoArc has a lot of outputs, and actually it's about include 3 parts. And the first one is the data products, and the second one is the annual reports, and the third one is the capacity building. Okay, next please. Okay, so from the data sets, and actually we have a lot of data sets. And the first one is the basic data sets for remote sensing and the users, the global land use and land cover data. And actually we have the global land 30-meter data, and from GLC 30 and 10-meter data, and also GIC FCS 30-meter data. And actually this is already public released data sets, and actually you can access from the internet. So Actually, the global NAND 30 is actually sent to the UN and at the 2014. Next, please. And also, this is actually the major topics of the annual report. And actually, you can access it publicly and download the data sets, also download the annual reports. And as this is actually a contribution of the a large portion of Chinese remote sensing scientists and technicians, and to do these data sets and do these annual reports. And actually, it's very actually, it's very big contributions in China and also in the world for the Chinese scientists to do this. Okay, next, please. And this is actually the name of the annual report. Next, please. And we'll give some examples. The first example is the GeoArc 2014, and actually talks about the spatial distribution of the global wetlands and the international importance. And actually, it's related to the geo wetlands. Okay, next, please. And the second one is the trend in global land degradation since 2000, and this is actually related to the geo LDN. Okay, next, please. And this is GeoArc 2021, and this talk about the sustainable development trend of global territory ecosystems. And actually, this is actually related to the ecosystem atlas of the GEO. Next, please. And the GeoArc 2023, it's a global production of bio-green and oil crops and food security situations. Actually, this is related to the GeoGlam. Okay, next, please. And for the capacity buildings, and actually based on this initiatives and the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology, and released a lot of projects. And these projects are support the hardware, hardware infrastructure, and also a lot of ideas for research. And also this research contributed to the applications in China of using remote sensing. Okay, next, please. And this is actually finally, and actually we cooperated with the United Nations and put all of these data sets and annual report to the UNCP, and actually you can access this from the UNCP website. Okay, next, please. Okay, this actually that's it based on the data sets and the applications. Also, we have a lot of users join in us and to share the data to make some more applications from different perspectives. For example, we have the cooperation with Cambodia and also from Pakistan, also from other kind of international organizations like ADPC. Okay, next, please. So we are based on the data sets and the connections, and actually we made some more research and more gaps between the research and the applications. So we have some new progress based on this kind of idea. So the first one is please. First is about we have the ARD using the Chinese data set with 10-meter level. And after that, because we have the new satellites like the HJ2, so we also incorporate the HJ2 data into this ARD and make this ARD can have higher frequency. For example, maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days to observe the Earth time. So that's even higher resolutions here. Okay, next, please. So based on the data set, even we have the global land cover data in 30 meters and a lot of them, but most of them are actually based on the international data set, for example, NatSat or Sentinel-2. But now we can have only use the Chinese satellite data to make 16-meter land use and land cover data. And actually we can have higher frequency of time series in 1 year. So based on this data, we can make actually better and and a better, more continuous annual net cover data here. So next, please. Okay, this is ARD and how we use ARD to make a non-time series ARD to do this net cover and net use map. Okay, next, please. Okay, based on this data set, we can do some essential environment variables in 60 meters and also in higher data frequency. For example, 1 month, and in the future, we want to make it about like 10 days or 5 days once. So that's even more useful than the data actually have the same time frequency with MODIS. So that is very useful. Okay, next, please. So based on that, we also now to doing some artificial intelligence to try to incorporate all of this data together to make a seamless data set. And that seamless data can show the continuous dynamic variation of land surface that may more, how to say, more resourceful and better. Okay, next, please. Okay, so based on the data and based on the applications, we can do a platform to do the environmental monitoring. Next, please. And based on this environmental, we cooperate with the end users to do some like a global ecological quality monitoring, also national scale monitoring like that. Okay, please. Yeah, please. Also, we can do some annual report for different countries, for different regions. Next, please. Okay. The sixth one is actually the ecosystem mapping at 250 meters. Next, please. And we also can doing that in higher resolution in China, like 10 meter, like that. Okay, please. Yeah, so this is also we can cooperate with the Chinese government, like the Ministry of Ecology and Environment. Okay, so that is kind of the higher resolution of ecosystem map. Okay. Okay, this is another one. Okay. Okay, this is actually the work group based on the cooperation of SACEE and CAS and GEO Global Ecosystem Atlas. Okay, please. Okay, this is some examples in higher resolution. Okay, next, please. This is actually finally we bring up the new challenges and expectations of GeoArc. The firstly, how to reach and get feedback from the end user and transfer the demanding into requirements for next 5 to 10 years. And how to empower multi-level users, the government, the organization, community, and also to learn, develop the utilize of AI to reach and to empower. Okay, next, please. So this is the objectives of the 2025 to 2030. Okay, that's all. I think that's all. That is the partners of our GeoArc. So we welcome more organizations and to can come into our group and to make more fruitful results from the GeoArc. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
So Humboldt Foundation, so we have time for one question. We have questions? Okay, if no further question, it's yeah. I have one question. You mentioned you also have shared your GeoArc, and also it's also has some links with the ecosystem classification. So it's also linked to the Atlas, right?
Yeah.
So not only for the GeoArc.
Not only for the GeoArc.
Your presentation covers several GWPs.
Yes, not the cover. That's just how to say cooperation and relations, because this is actually a incorporative work program. So we try to make that connection with different groups and to make it more how to say to be seen. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you, Dumbo.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for our five case study cases shares. I think it's from the different perspective or different scales, and from the very local scale, from include the for the local people of the traditional culture inside, also to the to the with the business cases like with the for the flooding monitoring services, and to some new tools developed by Esri, and also we have this global scale with multi-disciplines included. And also we can see that for they have data products, they have the multi-users have get involved, which is really shared a lot of information. And also on behalf of Professor Jing and me and the moderators, we also thank you for our two volunteers to help us to move on this session, and also for our photographers, and also for all the audience. And also, I think this is a great opportunity for us to use these showcases to share and to communicate with our findings and recent progresses. I think the Winboard designer of this session, I would like to invite the Winboard to give us some speech.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Jing and Pang, and for keeping time so well, of course, with collaboration from Katerina. Yeah, like very precise, 75 minutes. Thank you so much. And I hope all the other sessions can do so. Well, I don't need to be thanked. So both of you are, members of the program committee of this symposium. So you have designed this jointly, and thank you very much. And one announcement that our session after the lunch is scheduled to start at 2 o'clock, and we are a little bit delayed, but I hope still you come back to this room or another one at 2 o'clock. And yeah, I think we are ready for lunch. Again, the sandwich are served on this floor, and if you need a hot meal, go take the elevators, go to the top floor of the canteen. Yeah, but do stick to your meal options printed on your badge. Thank you.
Thank you.